Welcome to the Insurance Playbook podcast, the show that pulls back the curtain on the insurance industry and gives you the stories, strategies, and insider tips you need to win. Sponsored by Spark AI Partners. Not many people dream of going into insurance, but when tragedy hit early, Ruben Sneor turned it into a mission, spending the last 30 years building one of the most trusted agencies in the business. Today, he's sharing the lessons that shaped him, why listening matters more than selling, how a team wins bigger than any one person, and what it really takes to build trust that lasts. You're about to hear from a leader who's walked the walk and still loves this game every single day. We're glad that you're here. Ruben, hey, I am just honored, super glad to have you here. Thank you for your time showing up here.
Absolutely, Brenton. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with a CEO who's been in the industry for 30 years and more, grown a successful team that obviously I've met a few of your colleagues that work with you and they speak very highly of you. But on the podcast, I love just seeing people's journey, right? From the beginning and their origin to where they got now. And as a CEO who now it looks like you've got it all together, you've got the team, you've built the team over time, um, and you've got this amazing structure around you. But how did it start when you got into the insurance industry? Why did you get into insurance in general?
You know, kind of funny you asked that because not too many people grow up saying I want to be an insurance agent.
Yeah,
Kind
probably
of last,
nobody.
kind of last thing on your mind. However, I've always been self-employed. I've always been in business for myself.
Hmm.
And as you probably know, a part of being in business is making sure you're protected all the time. So I knew quite a few people in the industry because obviously as a business owner, you want to have people that help you or somebody that was referred to somebody that can help you. And as a small business owner, you always need help with things to protect what you're trying to build. So through the years, I started being self-employed even when I was in high school, starting, shoveling snow, cutting grass,
Yeah.
billing people for the season. We were entrepreneurs out of necessity because I'm one of seven children. My father unfortunately passed away when we were all very young.
Sorry.
So being first generation American, my parents were immigrants and my dad took care of everything. And my mom was, when he passed away, kind of left her holding the bag with seven children. Not an easy task, especially being from another country. Didn't know the ins and outs of finances. And she didn't even know what we had in the bank when my father passed away. So we all, not for lack of better terms, I wouldn't say we had to fend for ourselves, but we all had an obligation to contribute.
Hmm.
So, we all went to school, we all had our part-time jobs and, tried to make sure we didn't ask my mom for money because we didn't know, she didn't know. So I guess that's what built the entrepreneurial spirit in me and all my siblings, actually. Only a couple out of seven have actually ever worked for anybody. We've all been pretty much self-employed people.
Hmm.
So through the years, knowing what insurance has done, and by the way, my father being so smart didn't have any life insurance. So that was probably one of the biggest reasons why we had to go to work and in school. And luckily, we had a great childhood. We were all able to go to school and go to college if we wanted to go to college. But, you
Hmm.
know, it was kind of an unwritten rule not to ask mom for money. You want
Yeah.
to go out and have a good time, you better get a job and pay for it. You want a car, you better get a job and pay for it. Things like that. So as I grew older and started having a family of my own and got into a few different types of businesses, I kind of fell into the insurance industry.
Hmm.
And back then, and this was well over 30 years ago, back then a lot of us started in the group health insurance and went into the life insurance portion of it. But back then, life insurance was a different game than it is today. A
So.
lot of, well, it was basically, I wouldn't call it life insurance today. I'd call it death insurance.
Hmm.
Basically, you pass away and you're leaving your family money to survive.
Like the
There
term
weren't so
policies and
many, what's that?
term policies and things like that.
Yeah, I would say most of it was term. There was some whole life, but back then, life expectancy was shorter than it is today. Modern medicine isn't what it is today. So people are living longer, but I wouldn't say necessarily healthier.
Hmm.
So, before we used to worry, what if we died too young? Now I think we've done, what if we live too long?
Hmm.
With Social Security being very minimal, with life being so expensive, people are very worried about retiring. And I love how the insurance products has evolved that puts guarantees in place that market-based assets don't have. So as these products started evolving, you kind of start getting more interested in these things. And next thing you know, you're doing more and more of it, and your interest is piqued, and you start having fun with it because you're really helping people.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think market based versus these fixed guarantees is a huge difference, and I definitely want to touch on that. But yeah, I mean, wow, I didn't know that you were an immigrant, basically immigrant family, or first generation, and then in addition to that, your father dying young definitely shaped. Sounds like your intrinsic motives and things, to make sure that you weren't putting that extra undue pressure on your mom, and kind of made you who you are, to where you got to where you are now. I guess take me back now to the beginning of your insurance career. So you decided to get into insurance. Were you just a single agent writing?
Yeah, I was just writing business. Yeah, group health. I worked with an organization that focused on group health. They provided us with leads every week. We paid for them. They weren't cheap back then. Cheap now, but back then they were kind of pricey. But I joined this organization because they provided the leads, and the leads for the group health, as you know, group health is for small business owners. So, being a small business owner myself, prior to being in the insurance business, I understood what their values were, what their needs were. So for me, it was kind of a natural fit talking to small business owners because I was one myself. And being an individual agent, I always considered myself an individual small business owner as well. So my conversations were pretty easy with these small business owners because I can relate to what their needs were. I can
Right.
relate to what their problems were. And I was happy to provide solutions for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That that definitely makes a major impact, just being able to know what they're going through, offer a solution that fits for them as well. And doing some research before the podcast, I found that that's kind of one of the core tenets behind Ensign National Brokerage, it seems, is finding the right solution and the right fit for somebody, not just pushing a product. Is that correct?
Well, I will tell you, because the products have evolved so explosive. I mean, the insurance industry is like any other business that, they always come out with their latest and the greatest products. And if you want to succeed in this business, you have to be a student of your business because if you're not constantly keeping yourself educated with all the new products out there, you're going to fall behind. And
Hmm.
not only fall behind, Brenton, but you can't do what's best for your clients. And you can't offer them the latest and greatest. Because I know one thing, which I equate to part of our growth, because I've stuck with that small business model. I've stuck with going after the small business owners because that's my comfort level.
Yeah.
So as you know, everybody likes to kind of stay in their comfort level, and that's what I'm no different than anybody else. So being a small business owners, dealing with small business owners, because I can relate to them. So with the products that we have today, part of our growth is I did, hey, Mr. Business Owner, I did what was the best for you 5 years ago. And man, it's worked out really well for you. But guess what? Okay, since we last spoke, or since we last implemented some products with you, products have evolved even further. And there are certain products that may be able to be more advantageous for your end result. So, what
Hmm.
I'd like to do is check into it, see where you're at today, see where you still want to be at tomorrow, because everybody's goals do change. Okay. My goal 5 years ago may not be but the same goal today. So we see if it fits to put them into a new product and kind of roll in their old product into their new product where we make it as seamless as possible for the client. However, we're always doing what's best for the client. And when I started Ensign National Brokerage, I wanted to surround myself only with people that have the same passion that I do.
Hmm.
I'm not looking for product pushers. I'm not looking for commission breath salespeople. And as a matter of fact, I don't call anybody on my team a salesman. And I
Yeah.
don't even I don't even consider them or call them an insurance agent. I call them all advisors.
Hmm.
Because if you're not advising my client, I don't want you on my team.
Right.
And product pushers tend to have their product and try to make it fit for everybody. I would suggest that you get clients and listen to their needs because, as you know, everybody's situation is different.
Hmm.
Everybody's wants and needs are different. Everybody's financial story and financial picture is different. So you have to really listen to what their situation is today, where they want to be tomorrow. And the products are the last thing because we need to put together a plan. And the only way to implement the plan is with the products that will satisfy all the wants, needs, and desires. Does that make sense
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think you hit on so many good points there. I don't even know what to ask next because really, I mean, the retention and like you mentioned, hey, I sold this product 5 years ago. Now there's a better product. How do we roll them into that product? That's one question that I would love to know like some details on specifically because I think everybody would love to know that. It increases our retention and helps us continue to sell more products. But then also the other thing that I want to touch on is you've created this team now that has that mindset and mentality that you had when you got in. When you created Enzyme, you wanted to have a solution and have a right fit and do what's right for people rather than just product pushers. And maybe that came from your growing up and seeing your father pass without insurance. But my question is it just in the recruiting? Like when you mentioned when you hire somebody, you don't look for commission breath salespeople who are, the super hungry. I'm putting words in your mouth. You didn't say
Sure.
super hungry, but you're not looking for commission breath salespeople. You're looking for people who want to do right. Is it just in the recruiting or what do you do after you hire somebody to ensure that they adopt that mentality that you
Well,
have?
it's funny. A lot of people like to use the term recruiting. I'm not looking. You find that agencies like mine that choose to recruit, they just go out and a lot of them turn out to be revolving door. And people that work with me, they stay with me. So I want people on a few different levels of their career. I don't like the people that are green, wet behind the ears, or too new, and in most cases too young to understand the way things should be, the way things need to be. They love to tout themselves rather than sit back and listen.
Mhm.
I'm sure you've heard the quietest guy in the room is the most dangerous and probably the smartest guy. Why? Because he's listening.
Mhm.
Okay. He doesn't run at the mouth. He listens. Because one thing we've learned is everybody wants to buy, but nobody wants to be sold, if that makes sense to you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to buy this because I need this and I trust the person selling it to me. But if somebody's pushing and pushing, it's more for their benefit, or at least you get the feeling that it's more for their benefit rather than yours. So I want to deal with somebody that's going to listen to my situation, and then I want to do business with them only because they're providing solutions for my situation, not
Yep.
making a product fit.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't look at us selling products. I look at us as selling solutions. And
Yep.
products just happens to be the solution. So we find that in most cases with our clients, we're not going to sell them a product and you never hear from us again. Or if they call the company, that salesperson's long gone. That's not how it is with us because we design plans. And when we have a plan, usually the client has three, four, five, six products with us to help satisfy that plan. Because I think we all know one product isn't the end all game for to solve all their issues.
Right. You've even got a case design team, right?
We do. And this is what sets Ensign apart from, I think, most other IMOs and most other bigger agencies. They just like to recruit people and say, hey, here's our list of products, and you're on your own. We'll assign you some manager to work with or mentor from work with, and he's going to help you close deals. Okay.
Yep.
That's not how we operate. When we bring people in, because hey, let's face it, I'm a dime a dozen, right? Okay, they could choose an advisor, they can choose where they want to hang their hat. So in order to attract the best, you have to be the best. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about me. I'm talking about having a team behind you. Whether you're in the beginning stage of your career, looking to grow your own book of business, or being at the end saying, you know something, I've worked very hard in the past, many years in this business. I would sure love to have a team behind me to make sure everything's buttoned up and they have my clients at best interest because they've already been there and done that through the years. And now they're at the end of their career and they just want to kind of, I wouldn't say sit back, but not have a problem saying, hey, I've got a team, I can help you. Let's get a call and get the team together and see how we can help you and design something that would fit your needs and solve all your problems. So when I
Go ahead.
recruit people or talk to people to come work with us, it's not working with me, it's working with my team.
Yeah,
And
I
we
was
use
gonna
that
say,
approach for advisors and we use the same approach for clients.
yeah, that same mentality is a sure sign of a good leader, though. The fact that you just said we, not I,
Yeah.
like, let's be real, some of the ones that pound their chest and say, I'm join my team, I'm driving this car,
Yeah.
like, look at my Rolex and my this and that, and it's all about them and they're attracting that. But really the humility comes through here on the podcast of just, hey, I've got an amazing team. It's not just me, and it's really the team that surrounds us. I love that.
Brendan, it's funny. I've got clients of my own and I never say I can help you. And the first thing I say when somebody approaches me, because everybody knows what I do, everybody, everywhere I go, I make it be known this is what I do, because at some point they may approach me with needing some help. So the first thing when somebody approaches me asking if I can help them, I say, let's book a time so you can meet my team.
Mhm.
And, this is my company. But I say I am nothing without my team, and I let my client know that up front. I have my set of eyes, and I've got other expert team members that have their sets of eyes, and together we try to come to the end result that's best for the client. But I look at it from my point of view. Eddie, who you've met, looks at it from his point of view, and we come together with a few, Jason, his point of view, and we kind of come together with a conclusion as how we can approach and do what's best for this client. And then, Brenton, we take our findings and we take it to our back shop and say, okay, this is what we came up with, because now we're looking for products to implement this plan, and they will come up with the proper products that will implement the plan best. So, like I told you earlier in this podcast, it's not about the products, it's about using the products to help satisfy the plan. And we can't be experts in everything. We like to stay in our lane. We're great at thinking about solutions, but then we bring it to our back shop and say, okay, now we want you to do your best and implement the best products to help us get to this end solution. And that's how I know we have done better than anybody for that client. Nobody will can come behind us and say, hey, I don't know why they did this for you. No, we can back it all up. And I always welcome clients to say, hey, you got a financial advisor? Make sure he's on that call. You've got a family member that seems to be smarter than us. I want him on that call too. because I want everybody to understand what we do, answer all their questions, because any financial advisor will, they love using the term ROI, return on investment, right?
Yep.
I say, well, great. I call it an HROI, whereas our products are a GROI. And they're looking at me like, what is that? You're making up terms. I'm like, no, your ROI is all hypothetical, because you are gambling with somebody's future based on market based assets. And nobody, not even you, Mr. Financial Advisor Expert, can control what the market will do. All you could do is base things on its history. And I think we all know today's days, you can't base anything on history.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you know that. So I will come up and say your HROI is a hypothetical return on investment. My GROI is guaranteed. And you cannot say that. I can.
Hmm.
Everything I'm telling this client is guaranteed, because life insurance products have evolved enough where we play under a different set of rules. Market based assets, they play on their set of rules. Insurance assets plays on their set of rules. And the biggest part about an insurance product is everything is guaranteed. So when they say, yeah, but we can probably get, chances are we can get a better return on investment with a market based asset, but they don't look at the whole picture. Everything's taxable. Okay.
Hmm.
And you're not taking care if the what if. So I hate to be rambling on, but what if is the biggest part of my mindset personally when I talk to a small business owner, because I'm a small business owner myself. So a lot of business owners have partners. So have they ever thought about, what if my business partner passes away? Okay. How can I ensure that their family's cared for while the business can move forward seamlessly? Okay. A market based asset can't do that. What if I'm building my business and I happen to depend on a key employee? What if the key employee passes away? Okay. What if? How do I maintain the same level of operational excellence while I'm searching for a replacement? Okay. A market based asset can't do that. Infinite banking features. Okay, a lot of businesses are cyclical. Sometimes they need cash to get through the tough times in business, because they know their season's coming in. How do they get
Hmm.
through that without having to go through banking procedures? Okay, so if you have an infinite bank and be your own bank as part of one of your life products, you just go into your policy and write yourself a check.
Hmm.
Okay, what if I want to retire? Okay. And I want to leave it to my children, my business to my children, which a lot of people like to do. Okay. But how can they do that knowing their children don't have the money to buy me out? Okay. So we have products that have business succession plans, which builds the business in there, which builds the cash value in there, which will allow the family or your kids to take over the business while I can enjoy a retirement. Okay. So our products, get back into the products, help satisfy the what ifs for my plan, because I know if I design a plan, I want to cover all those what ifs so I can get to the end, because we know
Yep.
nothing goes smooth. Nothing goes smoothly. I got to cover the what ifs, and anything market based is hypothetical. Anything I'm putting together is guaranteed. And that's
Yeah.
powerful. That's what makes us better than anybody else out.
100%. I say that the custom work, when you're working with business owners and, people that have money, right, that make wise and prudent decisions, it's a different story. Like you've got, and then not to say anything bad, because I've been there, knocking on doors and going to really low income communities, right? It's a very different sale from high net worth individuals, and really those products that can be deployed quickly for some of those lower income folks, they're deployed quickly. I think it's amazing that, you take the time to build something custom. It's not just like, hey, we're going to throw this in here and try to see if it fits. This is custom to you, and that
Correct.
process builds a lot of trust too with those individuals, where they know, like you said, that, they they've spoken with you and Eddie and Jason and the back shop. Like everybody's put their heads together to come up with a unique, one of a kind, tailored solution, and they're not going to go to anybody else.
Oh, you got that right. And let me tell you something, Britton. The only way you can customize anything is by listening. All right. Don't tout about how great we are. I already know we're great. Okay. But let me show you how great we are because I'm going to listen to what your needs are. And me and my team are going to implement a plan that will satisfy everything. And our products can use that time frame as well. So, look, a lot of business owners have an end game in mind. I want to sell. I want to retire. I want to leave it to my children at this age or 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 15 years from now. We can tailor make our products to fit that timeline. So everything, all the expenses of putting this plan together are all paid for by the business, which in many cases, there are tax advantages. Okay, for the business, but it's also taking care of your family using the business's money. Okay, getting the write offs for the business. And when you're ready to sell or ready to retire or leave the business to your kids, everything's paid up. So now you can retire knowing I don't have to fund all these products anymore. Those days are over with. I'm going to go on vacation with my wife and start enjoying my retirement, knowing everything I put in plan is now working. We're done
Hmm.
paying into it. Now we're taking from it. And with our plans, it doesn't matter how long you live. Okay. They're guaranteed for life.
Which is
So,
something that
you
I
know,
wanted to bring up too as well. We've seen you mentioned earlier in the podcast here, people are living longer. They're not necessarily living healthier. And we've seen a massive spike in Alzheimer's and dementia. What
sure.
kind of products do you have to help people who are living too long potentially or with Alzheimer's and dementia?
Well, like we said, people are living longer. Every year, the life expectancy keeps going up. It did dip a little during COVID because of all the unexpected deaths. Okay. So, on average, it did dip a little because the amount of people that passed away.
Hmm.
However, now it's starting to come back up. And every year it keeps increasing. Women live longer than men on average because they do put us into the ground early. But on average, women live longer than men. However, women live longer, but they do have more health problems at older ages. So you've got two concerns with living longer. Will I live longer being healthy or will I live longer being unhealthy? So we've got products that do both. Okay. Now, I'm sure you've heard of in the past long term care insurance. And in the past, it's always had a bad rap. Okay, it's had a bad rap because it was always a use it or lose it proposition.
Hmm.
It's kind of like disability insurance. You had trouble collecting when you needed it. There were waiting periods, and God forbid you pay into it for years. The prices keep going up, and by the time you need it, the benefit you get isn't enough anymore.
Hmm.
So again, they have made that product evolve. And that was out of necessity, Brenton, because people are living longer, because it always had a bad rap, because all the baby boomers are now in that 65 retirement age and older. They needed to capitalize as a business, as an industry, they needed to capitalize on an aging population. So they knew what a bad reputation a long-term care. So they have done some things to kind of combine products and make them into hybrids, kind of like
Hmm.
gasoline cars moving into the electric. So, you can transition into it with a hybrid. So they have designed products right now that are absolutely a necessity. The statistics show 7 out of 10 people above the age of 65 will have a long term care situation before they pass away. 7 out of 10. The average cost today across the United States for long term care coverage is $10,000 a month, 7 to 10, depending on where you live ethically in the United States. How are you going to pay for that? Medicare doesn't, how are you going to pay for that? Well, you have a spend down. Every state's got their spend down, and you start liquidating your assets. Okay. I don't work my whole life so I can give it to some care facility to spend down on so I could stay alive till I die. And now my spouse, if she's still around, or my family have nothing. I've worked so hard thinking I could take care of it, leave a legacy, and now I've used it all on medical bills. Okay. So they have designed long-term care onto a chassis of whole life or universal index universal life. What
Hmm.
that does is, number one, it guarantees that they never get price increases. So that the premium stays the same throughout your whole life. It's not a use it or lose it because it's on a whole life or an IUL chassis. If you pass away, there's a death benefit.
Hmm.
Okay. The third bucket is because it's a whole life or an IUL, it builds cash value. Okay. So if you ever need have an emergency fund, you can tap into it for cash value. So it's no longer a use it or lose it proposition. To add to that, if you go into care, you don't have to pay the premiums anymore while you're in care. So you're not burdened with the premium of that. So now that has become, I would say, the hottest product in the market because of our aging population. And there's a wide range of people you're talking to now because people in their 40s and 50s are going through it with their parents and they don't want to leave their children with this issue that they're dealing with because their parents didn't have the product. My
Yep.
mother, personally, she's 99 years old. Thank God she's still around. But I will tell you, okay, she thought ahead. She had a long-term care policy she's had for 40 years. The premium kept going up. And you know what her benefit is? $1,000 a month. When she got the product, that was plenty of coverage. Now it doesn't even cover prescriptions. And if she were to stop paying on it, she has no coverage at all. The new products will never have to go through that anymore. And somebody in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they understand the importance of it because they have gone through it with their parents. And if not, they know somebody that has. So it's a
Yeah.
very, very important product. And it's probably the hottest product in the industry right now because any financial plan that doesn't include long-term care coverage is not a complete plan. Because again, what if guarantees? Every one of my plan has them both. What
Yep.
ifs, it covers the what ifs, and I've got guarantees. So
I think
as you
on
can
the
see, I'm a
same
little
vein,
passionate about this.
yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. On the same vein, you're mentioning your mom and the situation that she's in, that she's paid for 40 years on something. And really, she just wants to keep paying to make herself feel better that, she's paid for 40 years already. She's that deep in, it wouldn't make sense to stop. And we see so many people who have gotten term policies and they don't even know they're on a term policy as well. The horror stories of the insurance company not paying out or something are generally with the term policies, not because they were in the policy, but they turned 80 or they were 81 and they thought they had an insurance policy and now they don't, or the price goes up to where it's unaffordable. And what you just mentioned, having the fixed rate that never goes up, and then also just the guarantees. And you could have a 30-year-old that gets a fixed rate that's affordable. They build cash value. They're able to pull money out for investing or doing whatever else. They're able to cover their own death if they did pass away. They're able to cover their long-term care. Like it's something that sticks with you for life and grows. It's amazing. So,
I really think part of my success in this industry for both taking care of clients and growing a business is because I have some passion for this. Okay. I don't wake up in the morning and say, geez, I got to go to work. Okay. No, I can't wait to get to the office. Okay. You talk to a few people that I work with and they know I'm first in. I'm in when it's still dark out sometimes. Okay. I'm one of those people, unfortunately, that can only, I sleep 3 or 4 hours a night and that's plenty for me and I can't wait to get to the office. And for me, I dig into my pipeline of my company, and most of my advisors wake up to emails. based on their, I would, I'm on top. I care just as much as they do about these clients, because end result is these clients are within my agency. So they're my clients too. Okay.
Yep.
So I look at this as, hey, let's get this done. And the relationship that we have built with these companies, because not just the size of our cases, but they know it's part of a bigger plan, and these products are needed to satisfy the plan. And in most cases, we're just redistributing, retitling money. So we're using monies that's already there. Okay. People have old CDs. People have old life insurance, whole life products that they've been paying into forever that isn't doing anything for them. Let's retitle some of their assets and put that money to work. Okay.
Hmm.
Let's pay taxes on some of these things now so we could turn it into non taxable later. Okay. Because I believe everybody should retire non taxable. That's my
Absolutely.
belief. The last thing, you've been working your whole life paying into something, and I still got to pay taxes on everything until I die. I'm not a big fan. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd rather make everything tax free. So, in a lot of cases, and look, I've been doing this longer than most underwriters. Okay. So, as an agency, we're pretty close to 50% overturning declines to
That's
approvals.
amazing.
I get involved. I get involved in every case. I call the client, I paint the picture, I go to the underwriter and say, look, based on the information I have, there should be no reason for you to decline this. Boom, boom, boom. I shoot 5, 10 bullets at him. And sometimes the underwriter will say, hey, this guy knows his stuff and he's got a case here. And maybe the underwriter didn't look at it that way. But the other half of the time, I'll say, Ruben, you're right, you're right, you're right. However, there's information that I have that you're not privy to, whereas I still have to decline this case.
Yeah.
Okay. So there have been times that, hey, I give it my best shot based on the information I have. And as an agency, we have an in house underwriter. How many agencies have that? Nobody. Okay. We've got our
Right.
own in house underwriter. And our own in house underwriter worked for a major insurance carrier for over 20 years. He was our head underwriter. We hired him on, and he knows every head underwriter at all the other companies. So if I look at it and say, geez, I don't know what to do here, his name is Bill. I said, can you look at this, Bill? And he'll look at it and say, oh, geez, well, you didn't look at it this way, this way. Here, I'll call that underwriter. Okay. And sometimes the underwriters are stuck. They can't make decisions beyond their company's guidelines. So they have to decline it. But then my
Hmm.
underwriter says, hey, Ruben, I understand as a company they can't accept this risk, but this company will. So let's repackage it and take it there. So
Yep.
I like to say your case is not dead unless we say it is. And that's pretty powerful. And I would say 8 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10 cases that are submitted with us get approved.
That's amazing.
It's pretty amazing. And our persistency is close to 100%. You know why? We're not pushing products. It's part of a plan. The only way for this plan to work, this is one of many products you may have to fulfill your plan. And we never have an issue of somebody coming in behind us and saying, oh, no, no, they didn't do this right, or I can do this cheaper, or I can, no. First of all, you start veering products away. Now the plan doesn't work anymore. So,
Yeah.
and most of our clients understand that. So we don't get those types of calls. It's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. When you execute and get the whole team together and build a custom solution, then it's gonna stick. I super appreciate having you on here, Ruben. I mean, it's
Thank
been
you.
amazing, and just being able to kind of step into the shoes of what it's like, growing your team and how you've built it and everything. I love to see that. For people who may be listening, maybe it's an agent who
Yep.
wants to get involved with Enzyme, or maybe even there's somebody who's listening who's a business owner and they say, I want a custom plan built. How do they get in touch with you and your team?
Well, a couple things. They can go on our website. I hate to make that plug, but our website is www.ensign.nationalbrokerage.com. Ensign, ENSIGN, nationalbrokerage.com. On our website, it's got two different platforms. One as an advisor or somebody that's in the industry, or
Hmm.
number two, that they're looking for their own coverage. So they're, depending on which platform they go on, all the contact information's on there, and there are some introductions to our, because we are in, we're licensed in all 50 states. We could do business anywhere in the country, but we do have physical offices in 5 states right now, and we've got managing directors in every state. So there's hopefully a local office. If not, with technology, we do our Zoom calls and team meetings. I love the face to face. If they're local, I'll go to them. They'll come to us. It doesn't matter to me,
Yep.
but they can get in touch with us that way, put a spot on our calendar for us to talk. And one thing I like to tell everybody, that first call is just an interesting touting how great we are. It's more of a meet the team, meet enzyme meeting. Okay. So
Hmm.
anybody interested either to be, to be part of what we do or looking for our services, you got to meet who you're working with first. So I love that first call, meet the team. If you're comfortable, before we end this call, we'll set up our next call. And then we'll get into, now that you've met us and you're comfortable, you want to do business with each other. Okay. On the next call, we'll get into the dynamics of what you're looking to get done, how we can help you. And from there, again, no sales pitches. From there, we're going to set up our next call based on the knowledge we have. We're going to set up some recommendations for me on that next call. And if you want to move ahead
Hmm.
with the recommendations, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Okay. So we don't believe in pressure. We don't believe in sales. We just want to provide the solutions. And if you as a client agree with the solutions, you move forward. If not, we've made friends, and hopefully at some point you may need us.
Absolutely. The sales pitch is there's no sales pitch.
You got it. You got it.
That's awesome. Well, guys, this was another episode here with Ruben Sneor with Ensign National Brokerage. We're glad that we could have him on. He was dropping a lot of really good stuff here that we can apply, that any agent can apply. And if you liked what you heard in this podcast, then share it, like it, DM it to somebody who needs to hear it. That's how we get the word out about this podcast, get it to more people so that we can all grow this industry into what it was meant to be. So we're glad that we had you here. Thanks, Ruben.
Thanks, Britton. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed our time together. I really did. Thank you.
I did as well. Okay, we'll see ya.
Okay, take care. Bye bye.